Ben Simmons Pro, it's been a rough week for him. A lot of fallout. It seemed like the world versus Ben. Funnily enough, we recorded a day before that Game 7 series and we discussed this exact thing at length. We finally got one right where it looked as though in that series, as the series wore on and Nate McMillan was hacking on purpose, that whenever they were in the bonus late in quarters, whenever Ben thought they'd put him on the line on purpose, his aggressiveness just went to zero. He was deferring it. There were times he was dribbling over half court, throwing it to Embiid or someone and then just running to the dunker. And we kind of noted that. And then, it happened in that game, that the notorious wide open dunk attempt that he just refused to shoot, I think solidified that he was a little bit mentally fried with the free throw thing. It's a bad place to be. I've discussed it. I've been there at times, and it can be a lonely place. But for a guy like Ben, where his whole game is predicated on the Giannis style rim paint attacks, it's a glaring deficiency, and now it has triggered a pile on Ben, which I don't agree with. But look, that's the society we're in. We've discussed many times social media, your Stephen A. Smiths, all your talking heads on TV, millions of memes of Ben and his shooting woes. And now, he's in a tough spot. I think, he's in a very interesting part of his career. And Pro, I don't think it's as simple as getting in the gym and just shooting 1,000 free throws a day, to be honest. I'm sure you'd agree. I think some sports psychology or a sports psychologist needs to get involved in that a little bit. It's just a matter of resetting, and the equivalent of a golfer having the yips on the putting green and doing everything else right. But that one little thing then becomes, a balloon in your head that's just getting bigger and bigger. And I guess, what would be the first thing you'd do on day one with Ben Simmons this offseason?
The thing I would do is say, look, whatever plan we're going to have, we're going to, I don't know how much actual technique he needs to change. Like, I don't really know, because, you sent me that clip of him playing in Summer League in his rookie year. And he looked great. And the form didn't look much different. But like, he was just sort of free flowing to shoot that shot, and he was making them. Whatever plan you're going to have. So say you're going to go with the shooting coach. Here's my crystal ball. And look, if I'm picking a fucking series, go the other way. If I'm fucking telling you love or marriage advice, do the opposite. If I tell you something about player development, it's just something that I really know. If I tell you it's fucking, if I tell you it's Easter, don't go fucking checking the calendar. Just go home and start dyeing eggs. This is my business. I think I'm pretty good at it. What I would tell this guy to do is say, look, okay, I know what's going to happen. They're going to put him with a shooting coach. There's a guy named Lethal Shooter, who's a big social media guy, shooting coach that works with a lot of the Lakers. I think he's got an affiliation with Clutch, so they're going to probably put him with him. You're going to see a lot of fucking Instagram posts of him shooting with no shirt on, making 27 threes in a row, because A, that guy's pretty good. B, I think, Ben has done that in the past where he's changed his shot or what have you. In the summer, posted it of him being Larry fucking Bird, and everybody's like clapping at it, going great. They're putting banners in the fucking, in Philadelphia, and he refuses to shoot. So what I think that needs to happen is, okay, you have a plan. Either a coach is going to do it, a trainer is going to do it. If I'm Philly, I'm saying we're doing it. This is bullshit. We're fucking doing it. We got our staff. You're going to work with them, and we got a plan. But the plan is, I don't care what he does in the summer. He's going to have a routine. But the plan, this is where Philly's got to step in, if he's still a Sixer coming into the season, is, look, whatever is done this summer is fine. But in the season, you got to shoot them. We're not asking you to shoot threes. Threes are irrelevant for you. Don't worry about the three. But you need to be aggressive to try to get to the free throw line. And we're going to draw up at least 5 or 6 things during a game where we need you to shoot these. It's not the form and technique. It is having the ability, because like once you make this change or whatever you're going to do, it's not shooting right fucking handed or anything like that. It's no witchcraft. It's, let's get a plan, get this technique going. But during the season, here's what development is. You get into a season, you shoot 8 or 9 shots from mid-range or whatever that number is. And then you go 6 for 9, you think you're cured. And everybody's fucking cheering. Then the next night, you go 1 for 9 and you don't want to shoot them anymore because you can't deal with that adversity. So the issue, Bogues, here is, look, we're going to support you, but you need to shoot these open shots when they present themselves. And you got to deal with the ups and downs of an NBA season and your development when you're working on a new skill, where some nights you're going to go 6 for 9, some nights you're going to go 0 for 9, and then having the balls to fucking shoot 0 for 9 on a Tuesday, and then on a Thursday you shoot 9 more in a game. We need you to be aggressive, and it's going to take some time, no doubt, but it isn't about the technique. It's about actually shooting them when they present themselves, when they're open in games, and continue to shoot those consistent shots when they're open and deal with the ups and downs. And we're going to support you. We're going to continue to aggressively say to shoot these shots. And that's where it's going to come, Bogues. It might take all year, but this kid has to be able to engage. He needs to be able to say, fuck it, okay, I'm going to do this, and I'm going to continue to shoot and keep my routine the same and continue to shoot these open shots and deal with the ups and downs, because eventually you're going to get it. It's going to click. But if you're afraid of missing, which he clearly is, and you don't want to shoot these shots because you're afraid to go 3 in a row, and that fucking guy that's that guy in Philly that draws the fucking on the chalkboard with the fucking Sharpie, ain't gonna fucking talk shit about you and they're gonna boo you. They're gonna boo you. They're assholes. It's fine. That's what the NBA is. They're filled with fans that get on your ass and they're talking heads and shit. You gotta have the balls to fucking continue to shoot these shots in games. And as an organization, you need to continue. It doesn't matter if he goes 2 weeks in a row without making one. You got to continue to support him to shoot these shots and deal with them in this time. And that's what it is.
He was 61% during the regular season. So it's not like this is just, he shot in the, what was he, in the 30% percentile in the playoffs. And as we know, the playoffs slow down. Analytics become, or kind of scouting is a bit more kind of pointed. So they thought we can pick on Ben at times. And it worked for Atlanta. They picked on him and it screwed him mentally. But it goes back to my point of it's not completely broken. He's 61%.
No.
I think he was looked more confident at the line during the regular season, but for some reason in that playoff series, it just something clicked. So I think mentally just go back to that 61% mindset during the regular season, improve on that. And I think the biggest thing with free throws is focusing on your next 2 and not your last 100. And that's easier said than done. I've had that before. I've been hacked before and you're 0 for 4 and you're like, holy shit, I just got fouled again. I'm 0 for 4. If I miss these next 2, I see someone running up to the scorer's table. And that was a part of it too. Doc was on record, as we said last episode, of I'm not benching Ben if they hack him. Well, in that playoff series, he started to do that. And I think Ben started to notice and started to probably overthink, like, holy shit, if I don't make these 2, Doc's sending someone in for me. So I think it put a lot of pressure on him. But that Summer League clip that Pro refers to, there was a Summer League clip from before his rookie year that he was shooting jumpers, elbow jumpers, 18-footers, and it was just wasn't perfect, but it was just confident and it was not thinking about it. And it was, oh my God, I went under the screen, bang, jumper. And it looked crisp. It looked like, it's kind of like Giannis that we talk about all the time. Like he's not the best free throw shooter. He's not the jump shooter, but you can't really tell what happened the last possession with him. If he got hacked and went, he shot air balls at the line, and then the next possession he's coming to dunk on you again. I think if Ben gets to that mindset, and if he goes 5 for 15 one game, I still think, the positives that he presents for his team outweigh 10 missed free throws. Now, in a late game, every now and then, if you're Doc Rivers, you might have to say, hey, we might pull you out if they're hacking at the 3-minute mark trying to get back in the game. We might pull you out for a minute. That's the conundrum that Doc has, is I'm not pulling you out to limit your confidence, but we might have to do it every now and then. But during the flow of the game, I want you to get to the line as much as you can. And I think it's just, the Philly support thing, I don't know where that's going to go. Joel Embiid's comments were pretty pointed towards the end of that game and series, and we all know how superstars work when their team loses a series. It's the blame game, and Joel was a culprit of that, and maybe some would argue Joel has that right. He had an MVP caliber year, but he did turn the ball over 8 times. He didn't have the perfect game by all means, but I think Pro, the Ben Embiid experiment is over. I think they're 2 contradicting styles of play. Ben, Mike D'Antoni style, open floor, shooting the first 7 seconds, I think is his strength. Joel Embiid, I think, can run the floor for a big guy, but I think he's better in the half court, ISO, post up, give me my touches. I'm gonna just Hakeem Olajuwon you to death on that block. So I just don't think that these 2 guys will last long term. Would you agree?
Yeah, I agree. I think that Daryl sort of sat there the first year, let things happen. And then, look, I think the more you wait and the more you sit back especially if you're a GM that's looking to make moves. And then things like this happen. It just sort of proves your case. So if you wanted to trade him right when he got the job and he didn't, now he could just sit back, have something like this happen, and then basically be like, I told you so. If that was the case, I think that with the shooting thing, it's just typical. Everybody jumps off the bandwagon quickly. And I think everybody, way overreacts with this. And this is where we're at. Like his teammates, his coach, everybody's sort of wavering their sort of support for him. And that's just natural. For him, he needs to look himself in the mirror and really figure out what's going on and what's wrong with me. Meaning, like, it's not the coach's fault. It's not the organization's fault. This is on me. This is on me. What do I have to fix? And if the Philly's going to keep him, they need to continue to get the ball in his hands during clutch time, during the regular season, and put him in these situations, even if he fucks up some wins for him, throughout the year. Because the more times he faces this pressure and you support him, I think it's going to help him for the playoffs. Now, again, the playoffs is a different animal, but you can't just he can't turn this on and shut this off. But he's got to look himself in the mirror and figure out, like, I can't have my inner circle just hide all this adversity from me and blame everybody else except me. He's got to take responsibility. Like Doc's got to take responsibility. I mean, Doc has to take responsibility for blowing that game and blowing that lead a little bit. Now, yes, it was Ben mostly because of the lack of aggressiveness and being scared, but he's got to take a little bit of responsibility for this, no doubt. But this kid's got to take responsibility, because if he gets traded to, say, Minnesota, San Antonio, Portland, I mean, this isn't going away. And that's the thing. You got to face this head on. This isn't something that just you're changing your team and your zip code and everything's going to stop. These are going to be problems that you're going to have to deal with. So you're going to have to really figure out a plan of attack going forward of how you're going to deal with this.
Yeah, no doubt about it. And it's just gonna come down to, I hope it's the ladder of not posting on Instagram. I don't think he will. I've got a hunch that he won't this offseason. I really do, because like you said, the last 2-3 off seasons, we've heard the same thing, the same story, working on my threes and the teaser clips on Instagram. I think that put more pressure on him, to be honest. I think it really did. I think if the last 2 off seasons, just shut it down and just put his work in and came back, I don't think people would have bought into it as much. But the fact that there was those videos posted and whatnot, I think people were like, oh, he's finally fixed it, and then comes back, doesn't want to shoot. It created more anxiety and pressure for him. So I hope he just, kind of goes MIA this offseason. Well, besides the national team, which we'll get to in a second. But if he was going to, work on his game, do it behind closed doors, which, is hard to do at times in today's world of social media. But where does that leave us as the Australian Boomers? We have a big affiliation with the Australian national team for obvious reasons, and that's the elephant in the room here in Australia is people put out a statement through the media saying that he's unlike. I assume it was his people. It was through your typical cronies in the media that they get tipped off by agents. They basically within 24 hours of that series ending, it said Ben Simmons is unlikely to represent his country in Tokyo. There still hasn't been an official word from Ben or his camp. Now, this is a tough one for the national team. He's a guy we obviously want part of our national team. I honestly think that would be an environment that would help him. I think there's some tough nuts in that team. There's some good team first guys. There's some guys that would support his elements right now and the issues that he's going through and actually help him through it, rather than be a Joel Embiid and just pour more fuel on the fan fire for him. But I think he's out. And I don't have an issue with him. I've been on record this week in Australian media. A few people asked me about it. I don't have an issue with him missing the national team. I have no issue whatsoever. I'm not going to judge a guy upon his off season. The reason being, there's numerous reasons guys miss playing for their national team. It could be wife's pregnant, family issues, my body's messed up, I had surgery. I'm Ben Simmons. I have a few issues from the season I need to fix with my shot. I'm mentally not there. I'm drained, whatever, right? I'm not judging anyone upon missing it. What I'm judging Ben on is the teasing of playing for the national team. That's what I have an issue with. And I think that's That's my biggest gripe with all this is if you don't want to play, just say you don't want to play. And maybe I'm being a little bit harsh, but the ramifications of him teasing aren't just about him. It's number one, it's the roster makeup. Okay, Ben Simmons plays, we maybe have to have 2 extra shooters instead of 2 extra defenders. Ben Simmons plays, the head coach is now implementing a whole different style of basketball than if he doesn't play. Guys in camp, what's going to be my role if Ben plays if he doesn't? So much is determined by that kid playing for the national team. The 1 foot in, 1 foot out approach, it actually hurts the national team's preparations significantly, in my opinion, especially if you're waiting till the last week or two before camp to let the national team know. If you know you're out, just call it. No, people are going to have their opinions, and that's like you said, Philly fans are going to boo, NBA fans are going to boo, Australian media and fans are going to be pissed off you don't play, but that'll die down quickly. For me, the thing that's bad is the 1 foot in, 1 foot out approach, Pro. And I think he just, he needs to make a decision, let the national team know, and get on with life. But like I said from the start, I think he's going to be out. I think he's probably got the most important turning point in his career, and I just don't think that's going to be with the Australian national team.
Yeah, I think that when you're growing up with this and you got to be a professional, you hear about it from every NBA player. It says it's a business, it's a business, it's a business. Well, if it's a business, you got to show professionalism. If you don't want to play, that's fine. You got to just, but you got to understand there are other people involved, and you got to step up and be a pro. And this is what being a pro is. Look, I'm dealing with issues. I gotta iron them out. I feel as though if I'm going to change my shot, being in an Olympic situation may not be the best thing for me, and then just end it. But sometimes these players, again, they like to talk out of both sides of their mouth. When it's about them, it's always a business, and if they think they're getting screwed. But now you're in a position where other people are relying on you to make the decision to, again, prepare for this Olympic event. And you're just sort of like 1 foot in, 1 foot out. It's not professional. Just rip the Band-Aid off right now and just deal with it. But yeah, it seems like there's always an issue with him in this national team. Either he's not playing, and it seems like the perception is it's a lack of respect and not really taking the national team serious. Like you said, even if he's not going to play, just tell him. But yeah, I think it's unprofessional. I think he's got to step up with this, and he's got to deal with this. And again, you've got to deal with adversity. This is adversity. This is some real life stuff where other people are relying on you. Just tell him. And yeah, I'm not a big fan of the way he's handling it.
Yeah, and I don't think a lot of it is on him neither. I think there is his circle is, I think, very influential on the decisions he makes. He's in that transition period of his career, in my opinion. Every NBA player generally comes in the league at 18, 19, 20, 21. They're in a circle, and the views and opinions of the inner circle this is the be-all and end-all. Most players get to a point in early 20s, mid-20s, sometimes late 20s, where they start to realize, hang on a second, like I'm the man in this circle. This circle doesn't exist without me. I need to start making decisions for myself. Most players figure that out along their career. I think Ben's at that point. I think he needs to start making some decisions for himself now. He's got a pretty tight-knit circle of family and the agency and Clutch Sports, and from what I understand, they make a lot of his decisions. I think he's getting to that period in his career where he might need to start thinking, I need to start making some decisions for myself and what I think. And, the other thing with the Australian national team, someone might ask, why not make that decision? Why not come out and just say you're not playing? Well, marketing's big with Ben. Clutch Sports, the agency, they're a big marketing agency, which is fair enough. I got no gripes with that. So I think I know that plays a big part in him not coming out earlier and saying I'm not playing for the national team, because there's that carrot of marketing. He's got a big deal here with 420 Pies. The year before it was Victoria Tourism, and I know for a fact that plays a part. So for those asking why not just make that decision, that would be it. I have a story around the national team and what happened in 2019 and the World Cup. I'm going to save this till post-Olympics. I don't want to be that guy that's then accused of the reason why Ben doesn't play. But this story it kind of solidifies what we're talking about right now as far as the national team and what it is. And it's a long-winded story. I'll get to it maybe in 2 or 3 podcasts or potentially once we know if Ben's playing or not, because I don't want to get blamed for that, bro. I don't want to be that guy.
Yeah. Social media blames you for enough these days. You might as well lay off for a couple of weeks. I think that's best for everybody going forward.
Yeah, definitely not wrong there. But yeah, we'll get to that. I mean, I wish Ben all the best. This isn't, people are just shitting on him left, right, and center. I'm not I'm not griping his decision not to play for the national team. I'm not griping that he needs time to spend on his shot. There are some deficiencies that he needs to fix. Like any player has deficiencies. He has some that are glaring right now. But I want him to get better. I want him to come back and be the best player Australia has ever seen playing in the NBA, and then hopefully come back and lead our national team in the future. This isn't so much a hate fest on Ben. I think we're discussing something that he, is the honest truth and he needs to work on. And I just hope those people around him and his family are supporting him. But also, like you said, telling him the hard truth about, hey man, like you got to get on with it. We need to fix this, and you need to be the Ben Simmons that. Remember, you were drafted number one for a reason. You were the best high school player in the nation for a reason. You were the best Australian junior for a reason. Get back to that mental state and that mentality, and a few missed free throws shouldn't change that.
Yeah, and Bogues as well. The organization did drop the ball on this a little bit, and so did the kid. In years past, they allowed him just to go. They're at a point now where I wouldn't be excited about him saying, well, we're just going to handle it, and I'm going to work with a trainer, and they're going to handle it. I'll be like, at this point, Philly's got a lot of the power. I would be like, fuck no. First of all, we pay our coaches a shit ton, our coaching staff. Somebody's going to handle it from us. We've tried to have this where they were going to work with a shooting coach. They had a shooting coach in the past. They never used him, and they would work with trainers on a shot and this and that, and it never got done. It's got nothing to do with trainers, but if you're an organization and you've got $100+ million into this kid, invested, you drafted him, won, all that stuff, and you're just allowing him, especially at this point in juncture, if you're going to allow him just to work with outside people, and you're just dropping the ball again. I think they really need to tighten the reins on this. No one's going to run this show except them as far as what this program's going to be. And they've got to be aggressive with it. And to me, if you're going to keep him and he refuses to shoot, I would start sitting him. If he refuses to shoot, say, look, we're going to give you all the freedom to do this. He's a really good player. And like you said, we're not jumping off of him. I still think he's a top 20 talent. The shooting is a problem, obviously. But the other intangibles that he brings, he's got a lot of ability. He's got a lot of skill that helps a team. But this is a problem that he's got to face head on. And the organization can't be, oh, yeah, just do whatever. We'll see you in October. We'll talk to you a few times throughout the year. Come see you. Wherever he's going to be in the world, they got to be with him. Like they said in Pulp Fiction. If this motherfucker's in Indochina, I want somebody fucking busting out of a fucking bowl of rice and fucking following him. Everywhere where this fucking kid is on the planet this summer, there's got to be somebody from Philly with him and seeing this process through and not just saying, oh yeah, it will just fix itself. Because like you said, it's a basketball issue, but it's a mental deal too. He's got to continue to play in these games and continue to get to the free throw line and continue to take open shots, not just summer runs. That's where the Olympics would be good for him, to play an actual competition where real games are on the line and get to the free throw line and figure this out. But they've got to come up with a plan. Both sides got to be in on it, and the Sixers just can't fall asleep at the switch like they've done in the last few years with this.
And there's the mentality around that could be if an organization goes out aggressive, what's going to happen. The player's going to want to trade. They're going to want out. I mean, he's still going to want to assume spend his off season in LA and doing all the runs and all that kind of stuff. So it's a really interesting position that Philly have put themselves in. The other elephant in the room is he's making, do you see, I think he's movable, but do you see his contract that easily movable? It's $150 million over the next, 4 or 5 years?
Yeah, it depends on the team, Bogues. Like, I think Portland is in a dire need for somebody who could defend. And they've got great offense with McCollum and with Dame Lillard and, Norman Powell and Carmelo, but they need somebody who can guard. Now, every time you ship something out and get something back, and he's like, oh, we need this issue fixed. Well, Ben Simmons could help you, but then you got offense going out the door, and there's always a give and take with this stuff. It's not going to be completely easy, but there are teams like San Antonio. They don't really have a superstar. They've got They've got some decent players, but they don't have that superstar. So, and they've got a lot of people making decent money, so they could probably ship some players out. But you're not going to get a player as good as Ben Simmons in a deal. You're just going to get about 3 players that are just good players. And then you can go to Portland and do the McCollum deal. And then there's other people that might want to deal with you as well. I'm not saying that 28 teams will be calling you, because the glaring shooting thing and the mentality mentally of how he approaches things, they might not be wanting to rush out and take on that contract. But there will be 3 or 4 teams off the bat that would probably want to do some dealing with you. And it's not going to be entirely easy, but he's so good at those other things, passing the ball, defense, size to position, athleticism. He does have a lot of good things that show up throughout the season. But the shooting and the bad publicity, I think you will shy about half the people that would have dealt with you a month ago. You probably shy them away, but there will still be teams that would want to deal with you.